The more hits we play, the more hits we get. URLradio.net. Stacy Sturm.
And it's Cameron Ali.
Now, let's talk about the actual booze cruise. It's that Mandan bus group gets us every time that first
bad
group
news,
out.
That team, you know?
Oh, my God. The people that head over to Mandan first.
Yeah.
Because our group had a really good... I think for the most part had a really good experience. They were able to enjoy it.
It was cool, man. It was really cool. And if you do it again, I think we let people know that you should definitely do it because it's a pretty cool experience.
And you should do it sober. Here's the thing. Those people got on the bus to Mandan and just lost their minds. They forgot what they were really there for. Mm-hmm. Because by the time they got there, way too intoxicated, I think, to probably enjoy anything.
Yeah.
Schmitz got off the bus both times like he had just aged 10 years.
Yeah, he was stressing, man. Poor guy.
When I told him, I'm like, dude, because he's so nice, I'm like, you have to lay the smack down.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think he's better at laying down the smack than I would have been, though. I'm glad I wasn't a part of that.
There's no way.
Know?
And I sent Swenson with him this last time, too, but Swenson even texted me and was like, yeah, there's no hope for this.
Well, Swenson's like me, though. He's kind of a pushover. You know what I mean? So we just kind of go with the flow.
Oh, my God. But a couple interesting things. Yeah. One is an interesting photo that we're going to have analyzed. And two, okay, now here's a big, long story that we'll try to get to. When we went out to Fort Lincoln on Saturday night, our group on Saturday night, which would have been their second group out at Fort Lincoln.
Right.
When we went out there, everybody had a chance to either go do some EVPs, go down by the river, and go use the spirit rods, the divining rods.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were out there, Mandy Sheldon had a very interesting experience with the spirit rods. They went crazy for her.
Yeah.
They loved her.
Had a crush.
Literally, this guy, Edward, is what people are thinking because Edward popped up on everybody's phone both nights.
He came up on mine, too.
He came up on mine on Friday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Friday night. And then I guess he came up on people's on Saturday, too. So we're thinking whoever it is out there, his name is Edward. Mm-hmm. And he really liked Mandy. But we had no idea just how much he liked Mandy. Do you want to hear some freaky audio, Cam?
Yes, I do. Let's hear it right now.
Now, let me preface this.
Okay.
This audio you're about to hear is from the group before us, before we even got out there.
Okay. Now I'm getting chills.
Okay.
All right.
This is what Deanne posted on her Facebook and tagged me in it so I could see. So this is the group that went out to Fort Lincoln on Saturday night before we even got out here. This is that EVP room in the back where they were doing EVPs.
Right.
All right, here we go.
Should we kill the background noise?
Yeah, hopefully we can hear this. It didn't tape real good.
And blue. Like underwater blue, you know? Like so then I asked, did you drown? And it said yes. And this is on the phone? Yeah, the ghost meter on the phone.
Oh. And it said Mandy.
Yeah, it said Mandy. I wonder if we had a Mandy out here.
Mandy. How come that rings a bell, Brenda? Wasn't there a Mandy in our group?
Well, whoever. They were looking for a Mandy.
Oh, my God. That was before we went out there?
Yeah.
Holy
so that
crap.
That was before we went out there, Cameron Ali.
That's insane.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
So there you go. So the spirits were calling her out even before we got out there. She's gonna flip out. I put it on my Facebook and I tagged Scott in it so that he could take a listen to it.
Yeah.
So creepy.
Oh man, I bet.
See?
I hope he lit the white candle.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
He was into it.
He was digging it.
Yeah, he
was loving it.
He kept coming up to me. He's like, "So what's this like?" I'm like, "It's cool, man. It's cool." But another weird thing is we were in the basement of the Peacock, and I went in the back group. I went with them both times because that's where, like the night before, I didn't really experience anything.
When you got there, when it was almost over.
I got there at midnight. Yeah. I just did a couple of last things, but yeah, then the second night I was there for the whole thing, and so I was like, whatever, this is pointless. You know what I mean? But I was like, I'll just go through the motion because I said I would. You know, I'm like, I'm freaking tired, whatever. Sore, you know. But anyway, so we're at the Peacock, and we broke up into two groups. We're in the basement of the Peacock, and one group stayed in the big area.
Yep, the
left
big main
lights,
area.
Lights off, and they were doing, what was it, EVP recordings.
Recording EVPs, yeah.
Yeah, and
asking questions and
ghosts
stuff.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we went around the other area where they said they had some activity earlier with the door shaking and stuff like that the night before. So we went to that area and we were doing EVP, but it wasn't in the dark or anything. It was light. And so we're all kind of huddled up in this hallway, and I'm over in the back by the door where they said the action was.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking and nothing's really happening. And then all of a sudden, they had those little temperature gauges.
Yeah. Where
One
you
little
could shoot
area in the middle of the floor got over 100 degrees.
Which is crazy because usually when something appears, it gets cold.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So here's
Unless
the
it's
thing.
demonic.
Well, maybe, right? Because
Could be.
so
I don't
then,
know.
like, they zapped it in there, and the lady was like, "Holy cow!" She's like, "This is over 100 degrees." And then you go like maybe an inch next to it, and it was back to 71. Go back into it, 100 degrees, and then an inch the other way next to it, and it was probably a good like 3-foot section of just the middle of the room.
Right.
Bizarre, And so that was weird. And so then we started talking because I'm like, well, there might be something here, right? So we started asking it, and people were saying, were you a prostitute because of the whole, speakeasy thing down there and stuff. And I just said, hey, if you're here, show us a sign. And I'm not kidding you. Right after that, the door that I was by, it went dink,
Well, and we heard it because we were on the other...
Yeah.
We were over on the other side, too, and we thought...
Yeah, but you guys were further back, right? So the door was kind of more... So nobody would have been up by there.
No, and we heard it. It was distant. We heard it, so we thought maybe you guys were shutting doors.
Right. So then I did that, and I'm like, dude, that was right here at this door. And the people on the other side, they're like, no, it was over here. And I'm like, no, it was over here. I'm like, I just felt it. Like, I felt the movement. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, that's insane, right? And so then... I go, all right, so if you like having us here, do it again. And it didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay. If you want us to leave, do it again. And the thing, before it was like one little knock type thing. The next time it went, it was huge. And that's when
it
everybody's
wasn't a
like,
real subtle sign.
Right, and that's when everybody's like, okay, the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
I heard some screaming, and I'm like,
Yes.
oh my God.
Yeah, so then we took off and went back. Well, then when we came back, I was going to stay with the other group, and then I forget who the gal was that I was with in that area.
Holly,
that was her name. And she's like, Cameron, come back with me. She goes, you were talking. I'm like, okay, let's go. So I went back with her. And this time, we were doing it again. Nothing happened. The temperature was back to normal.
Yeah.
Right? And then I said, well, let's try it again. If you're here, give us a sign. And I know everybody says it's the pipes. But come on.
It was really convenient at the time it happened.
Very convenient for me to say, give us a sign that you're here, and all of a sudden the pipes are kicking in for heat.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you can blame it on the pipes, but what the hell? Like, why didn't it do it any other time when we were down there? You know what I mean?
Well, and it wasn't a consistent thing then. It wasn't like a long thing. Usually, if you're going to be heating the pipes for water, it's going to go for a good couple seconds. They're going to kick in and
go for a while.
Yeah.
And so everybody was kind of equating it to just pipe action. But I'm like, even if, right? It's too big of a coincidence to me.
Well, and when I shot up to the ceiling, it was about 90. Yeah. But I thought that's just because we were all there. Heat rising. So right. I wasn't quite sure, but...
Well, and then, the EVP detectors, or EMF detectors that you gave us.
Yes.
So the night before, I was up at Dakota Stage, and I was in that Blair Witch room.
Yes.
And I went all through that thing, and it just stayed at one green dot.
Right. It didn't show anything.
Basically didn't do anything. Then you and I went in there with...
Megan.
It's just the three of us. This is after a lot of people were in there and stuff, and we decided to go in alone. We go in there, and I turn my EVP on, and in the middle of the room, it shot up to red.
Yeah.
And then went back down to just kind of the middle.
Yeah.
But it was still in just that middle area of the room.
Because you scanned everywhere else,
I scanned
and
everywhere.
there was nothing.
But the night before, it didn't move at all.
So it's not a consistent...
So it did that for the good 3 minutes that we were in there talking.
Well, and then Megan said, too, she goes, I don't want to freak you guys out, but I see something back there.
Like I feel it going back that way. She goes, it left. She goes, whatever was in here, it left. And as she said that, I'm like scanning.
There was
sure enough,
there.
My thing wouldn't go back up again. It stayed at the neutral point. So
I'm very proud of us, though. When she said that, we didn't get freaked out. We're like, so cool.
Yeah, right. And then we're like, let's go to Villisca. We're going together, But I did get kind of a weird chill.
Because Dakota Paranormal does want to go to the axe murder house. They
I want
to
go
there.
really bad.
Yeah.
But I did get a weird chill in my body. Like I know I'm a skeptic, right? Whatever. You guys know me. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. But it was just bizarre. I got this weird feeling. Like I started getting in a weird scared sense. But it was like a different kind of feeling. It was weird. I've never felt something
I get
like
it in my hands when there's something.
Yeah.
Some kind of an like I can't shop at Dan's anymore because those carts that they had hurt my hands.
Really?
It's like a shock. And it's like the palm of my hands will get tight, almost like something squeezing all the muscles in my hands. And so when I feel that kind of energy, because I used to do the electronic needleless acupuncture too, and the same thing, super sensitive. I could do about 2-3 people, and that would be it, because my hands would start to hurt from the energy that's coming through there. When we were in that room too, the palms of my hands started to hurt. They started to get tense. So I felt like I felt like there was something there because there was no reason. I wasn't even handling the EMF reader, and the palms of my hands were getting tight and tense, like when I get an energy surge from something. It
was bizarre. Like I didn't think, from the night before, I was like, I will just go through and just play the game. That's kind of what I went in with the mindset of.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever let anybody else know that. I'm like, dude, it's cool. Stuff happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I just, But that night, dude, well, as soon as we walked into Dakota stage, when we went up to the upstairs part, the lights were all off, and I'm like, you know what? I didn't take any pictures the night before, so I was like, I'm going to do it. So I just said, hey, Sturm, I'm going to take a picture, and I'm going to text it to you.
Yes.
Because I wanted to send you something to see if maybe you saw something that I didn't, just playing, trying stuff out. So I took this picture, guys, and, it's kind of a blurry picture, and I took a picture.
Well, because it was pitch black.
It was dark in there, but, like, even the people that were in the picture, their faces were blurry, just because I don't know if I wasn't holding it steady
I think it is because it's so dark in there. It's so much harder for it to focus.
Right. And so I did this. I took the picture, and, it's our friend. And so then I'm like, Sturm, I'm going to text this to you. The picture I took didn't have this little white orb thing or smear in the corner of it. I texted to Stacy, and her picture had this weird white thing, like it was almost like a feather floating in the sky.
Megan calls it a spirit or a light vortex.
A light vortex, yeah.
And that is usually like a trail left behind by a spirit.
So last night, I was kind of YouTubing. Because I was talking about it with a friend. Yeah. And she was asking me about it, and I was telling her all about it. And she's like, but was it like, were people just messing? I'm like, no. I said, you know me. I said, it was weird. It was bizarre. And so I said, but you know what? Let's check
and
out.
I saw you text it to me. You didn't have time by the time you took your picture to doctor it in any way, shape, or form.
How would I? I don't have
You took it,
stuff,
and you sent it, and I received it. It was about 1 minute later.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't have Adobe on here.
No.
You know what I mean? So
no Photoshop on the phone.
I'm surprised I don't have everything else, but
So what did you find when you said you Googled it? Did you find other pictures like that, or it's just art? That picture is just so weird.
Well, yeah, I YouTubed, and I YouTubed a lot of Villisca stuff because that's where the hot spot is, right?
Yes.
And there was one where it was like kind of an 8-minute video of people, just different segments of their tour there. A lot of stuff happened to them. One guy was standing in a corner in the they had a video camera on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, something's touching my ear right now.
Oh.
And his buddies are like, keep touching it. Keep touching it. Whoever's touching that, keep touching it.
He's like, no, I don't like it.
And then all of a sudden you saw a flash. So somebody took a picture of his head, right? From the other side.
Yeah.
And so in the video, they have the video going, and then they pause it or whatever, and they go to the picture, the still image.
Yeah.
There's an orb right by his head.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Nuts. And then there's another cool video. You got to do some YouTubing on this Villisca Axe Murder House because it's nuts. There was one video. It was during the day in the living room, and it was a hardwood floor, and she had a big ball. And she's rolling it, and she's like, I'm playing catch with you. I'm playing ball with you. And she'd roll it, and it would go to the end of the room, and it would stop. And she's like, okay, can you roll it back to me? And it would come back to her. And, like, you'd think, like, maybe it's the floor,
Slanted or something.
Right. But it was weird because one time it would go this way and then kind of curve and then come right back to her hands. Next time she was roll it, it would come this way and go back to her hands. Another time she rolled it and it ended up getting stuck behind a chair. But you could see it doing this, like moving, trying to get out. And she's like, okay, I'll come help you. And she grabbed it. Then she rolled it again and it stopped up there. And it just stopped. Like, to the same spot that she kept rolling it. And it just stopped. And she goes, do you not want to play ball with me anymore? And it just stayed there. And she goes, if you want to play ball with me some more, roll it back to me. And it just stayed there. It just stayed there. Like, it's weird. I don't know. Villisca, that's where I totally want to do this
So
at.
do you sort of believe now that there might be something after?
Yeah, maybe.
Pretty sweet, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. I could.
Well, especially now, like, you can see that footage and say, well, maybe they did something to it in post-production.
Yeah.
But when you're there, when you go on and you hear that kind of stuff, like the first group before us, it was already calling Mandy out before we even got there.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's
really
freaky,
weird.
right? Because Darcy never met Mandy. Darcy was in Mandan the whole time, out at Fort Lincoln the whole time. She has no idea who her groups were, except for maybe I met her and Brenda when she came in here. She met Nick too. She didn't know anybody else.
Well, how
from
would
any
she
other
know
groups.
that Mandy was there? And it was somebody in the group that said Mandy just came up on my phone.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, "We're looking for a Mandy." Bizarre. On that note, I gotta go.
Yes, you do. And if there's anything you want to hear, email me, Stacy at urlradio.net. That's STAC